Hello everyone. Welcome to our first lesson in Media and Information Literacy. For our lesson 1, we will be discussing the introduction to media and information literacy. So let's start. Here are the objectives for our lesson. First is to describe how communication is affected by media and information. Second, identify the similarities and differences of media literacy, information literacy, and technology literacy. And then last is to weigh the value of being a media and information literate individual. Let's start. So let us define media and information literacy. Based from my definition here, media and information literacy is linked to access to information, free expression, and education. Media and information literacy, or simply known as MIL, is defined as the ability to access, analyze, and create media, is a prerequisite for citizens to realize their rights to freedom of information and expression. So media and information literacy, based from our definition here, it is someone's ability to access information and to access a media form, to analyze and to critically think an information or a media tool. And also, media and information literacy enables us to create new form of media. And it is also a prerequisite, or let's say it's a requirement for us citizens to realize that we have the rights and freedom for freedom of information and expression. Okay? It's actually in line with the Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It says here that everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinion without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media regardless of frontiers. And here are the important terms that we will discuss in this lesson. First is the definition of media. Second is literacy. Third, we have media literacy. Fourth, information. 5, information literacy. And last is technology literacy. So let's start. Let us define what is media. So media is the physical object used to communicate with, or the mass communication physical objects such as radio, television, computers, films, etc. It also refers to any physical object used to communicate messages. So media here, in simplest terms, it is synonymous to tools for communication, or let's make it plain and simple, communication tools. So it refers to any object we use to communicate, to send message, to spread information, such as the things mentioned in the definition. And if I may add, books and newspapers are also examples of media. So that is the definition of media. Let's have literacy. So when we say literacy, it is the ability to identify, understand, interpret, create, and communicate using printed, written materials, and other means associated with varying contexts. Literacy involves a continuum of learning, wherein individuals are able to achieve their goals, develop their knowledge and potential, and participate fully in their community and wider society. So that is the definition of literacy. And it is important that we students practices various literacies in various disciplines, because the more that we know how to interpret these things, the more we know how to identify, understand, and create a particular concept or object using these things. So it will contribute to our learning. There should be a continuum of learning, and also it will enable us to develop our knowledge and potential. And also, because of this, we can participate fully in the community and in a wider society, such as the social media or the digital world. So because we know, or because we have the literacy in terms of using various tools in digital platform, so it enables us to communicate and participate in different discussions in the digital world. So this time, let us discuss what is media literacy. So media literacy is a 21st century advent to education. It is the understanding to access information, analyze, evaluate, create, reflect, and act using all forms of communication. It is an effective and engaging way to employ critical thinking skills to a wide range of issues. So media literacy class is, let's put it simple. Media literacy is someone's skill wherein he or she is able to understand, interpret, and use various forms of communication tool to utilize this effectively and to utilize this purposively. Okay? So that is media literacy. So we have here the components of media literacy. So first is to access, next is to evaluate and analyze information, next is to create a media form, next is to reflect on that particular media form that you have created, and then next to act or to establish the goal that you have set when you created that particular media tool. And then it will go back to the first step. So it's a cycle as well. So media literacy skills can help people to, first, develop critical thinking skills. So being able to understand and to interpret various forms of media, it develops our critical thinking skills, or our deeper way of interpreting things, because it enables us to scrutinize and to judge and evaluate which media tools will help us in a particular objective that we have set. So that's number one. Next is to understand how media messages shape our culture and society. Being media literate also enables us to have this wider understanding towards other culture and towards a wider society. Next is to recognize what media makers wants us to believe or do. As media literate individual, because our critical thinking skills are developed, we can also recognize what these authors or media makers wants us to believe, or wants us to execute, or it is how we recognize what these media makers wants to tell us. Next, media literacy enables us to recognize bias, spin, misinformation, and lies. Being media literate also helps us to prevent being a victim of fake news, because upon deciding which media platform you will use, you can also think of whether this particular media platform shows you legitimate information or not. Okay? Next is to discover the parts of the story that are not being told. So media literacy enables you to examine both sides of the story. For example, there is a news presented to you. So as media literate individuals, you won't just believe on that particular news alone. So what you will do is you will research on both sides of the news, and then after that, that is the time wherein you can create a generalized idea or conclusion derived from those researches that you have conducted. Next is to evaluate media messages based on our experiences, skills, and values. And last is to distribute our own media messages. Next as well, I guess this is the last, is to be an advocate for media justice. Let us now proceed with the definition of information. So information is a broad term that covers processed data, knowledge derived from a study, experience, instruction, signals, or symbols. So those things we cover that into this particular term, which is information. So let's say that information are those items that we get from a media tool or from media. So that is information. Next, we have information literacy. So information literacy is a set of skills requiring people to recognize when information is needed and have the ability to locate, evaluate, and use effectively the needed information. So just to break your misconception between media literacy and information literacy, so when we say information literacy, it is your skill wherein you are able to recognize when an information taken from a media is needed. It is your ability to locate an information. It is your ability to evaluate or analyze whether that information is factual or not. And it is your ability to effectively use the needed information based from the skills and based from the objectives that you have set. While media literacy, it is just your ability wherein it is focused on how you utilize a media platform. But the moment you utilize an information taken from a media well, effectively and efficiently, so you are actually applying information literacy. So I guess we're clear with that. Next is, so here are the components of information literacy. So we have critical thinking, problem solving, communication, synthesis, and technology. So an information literate person is able to determine the extent of information needed, access the needed information effectively and efficiently. Next is to evaluate information and its source critically. Fourth is to incorporate selected information into one's knowledge base. Next is to use information effectively to accomplish a specific purpose. And then next is to understand the economic, legal, and social issues surrounding the use of information and access and use information ethically and legally. So an information literate individual should be able to practice these things. Next. So I have here a picture showing the different ways in today's communication. So we have the first one is by talking. So this is actually the usual way of communication. So it's a face-to-face communication, so talking. And then you also have video chat. So just like what we are doing during our online discussion, so this is also one way of communication. And then communication can also be done through phone or over the phone. And then communication can also be done through sending messages through snail mail or through sending letters. And then we have through IM or instant messaging, such as let's say Telegram. We also have Yahoo Messenger before, but it's obsolete now. And then we have through text message. We have through electronic mail or email. We have Facebook messaging. And if we want to reach a wider audience, we will do Facebook status or Twitter. So question, how is communication affected by media and information? So we defined earlier media as communication tools. And then information as a collective term that covers data, knowledge derived from a study, experience or instruction, and signals or symbols, or it is simply a knowledge of specific events or situation. Okay, so how is communication affected by media and information? So as simple as this. So communication, or the quality of information we get from a communication process, depends on what kind of communication tool we are using. Let's say, for example, the mode of communication is through video messaging. So that is your media. Okay, and then the information that you get are the instructions and the words that are being uttered by someone who is talking. But let's say, for example, there is an internet problem on your end, or suddenly there is a power interruption. So the information will be the amount of information will be affected simply because there are interferences. Okay, so that is how communication is affected. And let's say the mode of communication is through sending letters. So the duration of communication is lengthy because your media is through sending letters. So that is your communication tool. And of course, the duration of how long you will receive the information is also affected. So that is how media and information affects communication. And then next, we have technology literacy. So technology literacy is the skill of the person working independently and with others to responsibility, appropriately and effectively uses in technology tools to access, manage, integrate, create, and communicate. So that is technology literacy. So learners who have obtained technological literacy are able to first problem solve. So because you know how to use various technologies, so you will be knowledgeable on how to solve your problem. You'll be knowledgeable of when to use a particular technological tool in order to solve a problem. Next is you are able to communicate because you know what kind of technology will be used in order to communicate. Next is to locate, use, and synthesize information found using technology. So nowadays, we usually use modern technology for us to cite and for us to gather information. So because you know how to operate these tools, such as your computer, such as accessing in various websites, so you will be able to locate those information, use those information, and synthesize. Or when we say synthesize, it's we collect and then we form a generalized or a singular information out of those things using this technology. And then, of course, being technological literate individual, so we can develop skills necessary to function in the 21st century. So because we are in the 21st century, most of the time, the mode of communication and in our everyday life, we are being affected with, or we opt to use modern technology. So let's say when connecting to someone, when doing our projects, when accomplishing a specific task. So because you are technological literate individual, you are able to adapt to what is expected of you in the 21st century. Okay, so let us have the salient preparatory skills of a technology literate person. First is creativity and innovation. Being technology literate person, you are able to think of or to generate a particular product using a tool in technology, or you are able to create a particular information using a technology, or you are able to innovate a new idea out of the technological tool that you use. Next is communication and collaboration. So this involves how you use communication to participate in a discussion, or this is how you utilize technology in order for you to reach someone or to reach a wider participants or group of people. And then research and information literacy. So various forms of technology are beneficial to us in terms of research and information. So because we have this particular skill in utilizing technology well, so it will help us in research and information gathering. So it is also linked to information literacy and research literacy. Next is digital citizenship. So when you say digital citizenship, it is your state of being accustomed to modern technology. So because you are fond of using this modern tools in various operations, you are being accustomed to that. So that's why digital citizenship is being practiced of you. Okay? Next is technology operations and concepts. So let us summarize our discussion. So we define media as a communication tool. So this is where we get the information that we need. Literacy is our skill or our ability to understand, interpret, analyze, and evaluate a particular concept. Media literacy is our skill in understanding, analyzing, assessing, creating various forms of media. Next is information. So information is defined as a term that is used to define knowledge that we get from a study, instruction, so data collected from a particular study. It can also be sounds, signals, and symbols. And then information literacy, it is our ability to locate information, to understand an information, to effectively use information. And then technology literacy, so it is our skill on how to work with various forms of technology. It is our ability to understand how this modern technology works, and it is our ability to use it effectively on a particular purpose. So I hope that these terms are clear to you, because on our next lessons, we are to encounter most of the time these terms. So I hope that on this particular lesson, the definition of these terms are clear to everyone. So see you next time for our next lesson, and hopefully we can develop being media and information literate individual, because it is the expectation of this subject that each and every one of us shall develop media and information literacy among us. So, goodbye, and see you again next week.